told me I should fight back. They don't like that. Just know if you rock the boat, you better have a life raft. Woo!
What up, everybody in the YTBC? Just want to give you my thoughts on the Lomachenko versus Padraza fight. First off, I just want to say hats off to Padraza. I think that he didn't come to lose. I don't think he just came for a paycheck. I think he came to give it his all. So I do tip my hat off to him. He gave a valiant effort. And although he fell short, I don't think he has anything to be ashamed of. Definitely want to see some more of Padraza and see what kind of noise he can make. Whether it be at 135, moving back down to 130, or moving up to 140. Which I do think would be a possibility for him. So definitely want to see more from Padraza. Not that I've never seen him fight before, but I definitely want to see more of him, especially if he's going to be giving his all like he did the night against Lomachenko. As far as Lomachenko is concerned, Lomachenko didn't have his best showing, but he had a pretty good one. I think that he's been getting a lot of harsh criticism, which I am going to get into a little bit later in this video. This is going to be a two-part video, one video with two separate parts, all right? But my honest assessment is that, well, we got to take a couple things into account. He did have, shoulder surgery. The reason why this is different, well, because some people might say, well, when Deontay Wilder said that he broke his arm, you said that there was an excuse. Why is it different for Lomachenko? Well, for one, Lomachenko's victory was not controversial whatsoever. I mean, I think he won the fight pretty convincingly. He just didn't look as good as he normally does. The other thing that makes it very different is that we know for a fact that Lomachenko had to have surgery on his shoulder. In the case of Deontay Wilder, he never said anything about his arm until after the fight. And according to him, he broke his arm 12 weeks before the fight. Which I find a bit odd because there was a video that surfaced maybe 2 weeks before the fight happened where he was hitting that heavy bag as hard as he could. If you have a broken arm, you're not going to be hitting a heavy bag like that. You're going to be trying to let your arm heal. And like I said, it takes more, as far as a broken arm healing. I mean, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I do think it takes more than 12 weeks for that to heal. He probably would have been out the rest of the year if he would have broke his arm when he said that he did. So anyways, back to Lomachenko. We know that he had surgery. This is the longest layoff that he's had, I think, in his whole career, if I'm not mistaken. Lomachenko tends to be pretty active, and even and to be honest, he wasn't even out that long. There's people who without an injury, there's fighters without an injury that have been out of the ring longer than he was. So, for Lomachenko, this was a long layoff for him, and I think that just speaks to the validity of the shoulder surgery. Also could have been some ring rust, and that's all just due to the injury. So it is what it is. But Lomachenko did, given the circumstances, I think Lomachenko he still did well. And I certainly hope he didn't get injured in this fight, because I would certainly like to see him in a fight in the not too distant future. So those are my thoughts on the Lomachenko fight. But before I get into the criticisms, here is a message.
Let me tell you, I know that you're up to no good. You can keep trying to lie about it, but why don't we just have an honest conversation?
Alright, so now I want to get into everything that is being said about Lomachenko ever since the fight against Padraza. So let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room, and that is the cross comparison with Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis. All right. So everybody's bringing up the fact that Gervonta Davis took Padraza out in 7 rounds. Fair enough. I mean, I would be a hypocrite if I said not to take that into account. I do think you need to take it into account. Now, that also doesn't mean that he automatically beats Lomachenko. It's not what that means at all. Because Lomachenko could probably just avoid getting hit by Gervonta Davis and just win all points. That's a possibility. I'm not saying that's what would happen, but that's probably what, that probably is what would happen. That's what I think. But that's just what it is. It's my opinion. But a lot of people are really being extremely harsh on Lomachenko, and this happens with any fighter. You got a fighter who has quite a following, and then you have fans of another fighter who has quite a following, and they're involved in this perception war that I talked about in my barbershop conversation video. So the way that they fight in this perception war is to try to give more, it's more towards the new fans that come into the boxing community. Try to give them the perception that this guy is just a hype job, even though he is a 3-weight division in only 11 fights. Now it's 12 fights, but he became a 3-weight division in 11. He became unified at his current weight class on the 12th. So, criticizing him, even though he's accomplished this. And a lot of these same fans are the same ones who said, we want undisputed when it came to the heavyweight division. Well, this guy's going around picking up the belt. And that's one of the things I don't understand. Like, you say you want undisputed, but the only way that can happen is if a guy goes around picking up belts. But then when you have a guy like Anthony Joshua, and you got a guy like Lomachenko, and you got a guy like Usyk, who are actually collecting belts, and Usyk is undisputed, so there's nothing more for him to collect. When you have these guys who go around collecting belts and you say you want undisputed, well, those are the very guys who are making that possible. I mean, let's be honest, when it comes to the whole thing with Deontay Wilder and AJ, and the only reason why I'm bringing that up is because, like I said, a lot of these are the same fans. They say that AJ was protected and that, they want undisputed, but isn't AJ the one that went and collected the belts? I mean, you can say what you want about the opponents he fought to get those belts, but first off, those opponents are still better than anybody that Wilder's fought outside of Fury and Ortiz. And when it comes to Ortiz, well, that's arguable, because there's some guys there that AJ fought that could probably beat Ortiz. It's just those fights have to happen. But anyways, at the end of the day, you say that you want undisputed, but the only reason why that undisputed is possible is because AJ did the work. And that's just fact. AJ did the work. So you can't be too critical of the man, because if he didn't go and collect the belts, well, then a fight between AJ and Wilder is just a unification. But because he did, that would be an undisputed, which is better than just another unification. I think we can all agree. But anyways, back to Lomachenko. Lomachenko is another one who is going around picking up belts. He's going and he's beating the champions. He's not fighting for vacant belts. He's not fighting the weakest champion and just moving up. Because, he did move up and everything, but I wouldn't say he exactly fought the weakest champions. Which brings me to my next point. You want to big up Gervonta Davis. Well, I saw a picture of Gervonta Davis wearing a hat. Excuse me. I saw a picture of Gervonta Davis wearing a hat that said strap season. But yet, I don't see him fighting anybody for a strap. Last fight was a guy who moved up off of a loss. His next fight is another guy who's moving up after a loss. Neither of these guys have straps, so why is he wearing a hat that says strap season? Y'all are all about undisputed. Well, why is Gervonta Davis not being pressured to fight the other champions in his division? Why is he not being pressured to fight Tevin Farmer? Why is he not being pressured to fight Miguel Pichot? Why, y'all say strap season, y'all say undisputed, and it sounds all good, but it's all lip service because you ain't pressuring for that shit. What about Errol Spence Jr.? Y'all say that he's being ducked and everything. Well, you have a guy who is a champion at his division who is pursuing a fight with him, and he wants no parts of Terrence Crawford. Why is he not being pressured? Why is he not being called a hype job? But the guy who becomes a 3-weight division in 11 fights, becomes a unified champion in 12, who's just one step closer to becoming undisputed, he's a hype job? Fuck out of here with that bullshit. Let's just be real. You have it out for Lomachenko. It doesn't matter what he does, because a lot of the same people are criticizing Usyk, who is undisputed. Now, of course, if you're not criticizing these guys, I mean, I'm not saying you have to be a fan of them, but come on, be honest. I was never a fan of Floyd Mayweather. Never was. When it came to FMJ, I've had a whole bunch of, a whole slew of criticisms. However, I always gave him his due when he beat Manny Pacquiao, and Manny Pacquiao said that, his shoulder was hurt, and didn't nobody hear nothing about it until after he lost the fight and all this stuff. I said it, he's full of shit. And I said that, I thought Floyd Mayweather beat him. Now, yeah, I do think that it may have to do with, if the fight happened at an earlier time, it probably would have ended differently, but I don't know that. That's just my opinion, and that's just something that we'll never get to test out. But my point in saying this and bringing this up is that I try to be as fair as I possibly can. When it came to Andre Ward, when he was active, there's a hangout. All right. There's a hangout that I was on with Dilltown and the boxing librarian, and Dilltown had a question for me. He asked me who did I think was the best boxer, active boxer at that time. Now, I don't like Andre Ward. I just don't care for his style. As a boxer, I don't like Andre Ward. Well, my answer, I thought about it. He put me on the spot, and I said, well, if I'm looking at at the current fighters and their bodies of work and everything, I'm going to have to go with Andre Ward. I don't have to like Andre Ward's style. I don't have to like his every decision that he makes, but or even the things that he says in the interviews. But I have to give him credit where credit is due. So I practice what I preach. There's no need to give extreme criticism just because. And the last thing that I want to bring up in this whole conversation with Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis is, yeah, y'all feel that Gervonta Davis would beat him, but what happened when Lomachenko was at 130 pounds? Did Lomachenko not try to make that fight? He did. He tried to make that fight. And Gervonta Davis, whether it be him or his team, somebody there did not have the faith that y'all have in Gervonta Davis to take that fight. So you can say whatever you want, but at the end of the day, the guy you're criticizing tried to make the fight with Gervonta Davis. And some of y'all got the nerve to say that he's protected. But Gervonta Davis, for whatever reason, did not fight Lomachenko. So I just find that ironic that Lomachenko would be the one that's seen as the protected one in the whole equation. But like I said, you can say what you want, but at the end of the day, Lomachenko tried to make that fight. And it was either Gervonta Davis or his team who would not allow it to happen. To all my subscribers, anybody watching my videos, or if you just so happen to stumble on this video, hope you all have a wonderful and blessed day. Peace.
Undefeated. Undefeated.